Hello, guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for staying. So, what is this video all about? This video, I'm about to give you guys an update what happened after my asylum process right up to now. It's like just a rundown, okay, of what I've been going through. So, after my asylum process, I I studied the German language. I went to a German language school. I did the German language course all right up to B2. I did C1, but I did fail the exam. And I was asked to rewrite, and I said no, I would not be able to. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. But I think right now, if I write the C1 exam, I would be able to pass because I have lived longer and I have acquired more knowledge of the language. So after I did that, I did an Ausbildung. I did apply for an Ausbildung. After I applied for an Ausbildung, I did my Ausbildung, completed my Ausbildung, and immediately after before the end, my Ausbildung lasted three years. So if you don't know what an Ausbildung is in Germany, Ausbildung is like job training. It's like, yeah, it's job training. People say it's a little bit below a degree, but I would agree to disagree because it requires a lot of work. Just because you don't go to the university does not mean that, you know, you're not studying as hard as those in the university. The only difference is it's more of practical, I would say, and which I love because when I have a degree, when I did my degree, I didn't do as much practical work as I did when I did my Ausbildung. And as a result, when I finished my university, getting into the work field, I had a lot of challenges. I had to even be trained. But during your Ausbildung, you are trained like theory and practical at the same time. So when you're done, you are ready for the job market. That is why I think it is fantastic. It is fantastic. And immediately after that, I did have a baby. Yeah, congratulations to me. So I was pregnant towards the end of my Ausbildung and I did have a baby. And right now, I am currently at home. I hope to start working once my baby gets into kindergarten. Once he's 1 year old, he's not 1 year old yet. I intend to start working before now. I am home. I'm living with my man and everything. Life is good. Okay? So, I know some of you will be asking, how did you get to do an Ausbildung? What is the process? A lot of people, when they come to Germany, they are eager to work. They are eager to make money, especially if your asylum process has been accepted. Everyone is eager. I want to work. I want to help my people, and so forth. And so one thing I would advise is calm down. Calm down. Whether your asylum process has been accepted or not, calm down. Don't just hurry up to start working. What are you going to do when you do not know the language? What are you going to do when you do not have a learned job? What you going to do? You're going to pick letters, pie cartons, carry car parts. I'm not saying that those jobs are not good, but I'm just saying if you come to Germany, you get your asylum process, try to learn the language. Language is the most important thing in this country. If you do not learn the language, it's going to be hard for you. And if you have the opportunity, do it, because we want to first of all start going to work. Once you start going to work, you are not going to have the time to learn the language. And by the time you come to your senses that you want to learn the language, believe me, You're either a little bit older, or you don't even have the interest and a lot of other life stress. So do it while you can. And you have to learn the language before you do an Ausbildung. And also, if you bring your certificate from home, you have to allow your certificate to be assessed, that is graded, to see if it is number one, accepted in Germany, or if it is accepted, what level is that certificate equivalent to the German certificate. So many people, that's why some people think, oh, I have a PhD degree, but I'm still cleaning. But is your PhD degree accepted in Germany? They have a system to which they use to grade these certificates. So if your PhD degree is not accepted in Germany, then you have to learn something else. It's another system of education. So sometimes I find it funny that people will say, I have a PhD degree in my home country, but I'm doing this. It's another system of education. So you do not expect that when you come to a new country, they're just going to take, oh, it's a PhD degree, we give you the appropriate job. No. Can you speak the language? What level is that PhD degree accepted? Because they have a way they train in the schools. So if it's not accepted in this country, then you have to learn. Most people, they are not willing to learn something else, or they are not willing to go back to school. And when you're not willing to go back to school, you cannot get the appropriate job. And if you don't get the appropriate job, you don't get an appropriate salary. And that way, you find it difficult. You're just scrambling around, from hand to mouth, and it's difficult. And then we start complaining that Europe is difficult, Germany is difficult. I'm not saying that Germany is not difficult. I always tell people Germany is not for the weak. But if you are determined, you will make it. So number one, learn the language. Most importantly, learn the language. Once you learn the language, you have your degree access. If it is accepted and with your language, then you can find an appropriate job. But if your degree is not accepted and you know the language, then you can have the opportunity to learn something else, to get a better job. My degree I came here with a degree. I had a first degree. My degree is accepted in Germany. I did work with my degree before I decided that I was going to learn something, because I wanted to earn a certificate in this country. As a background, because my degree was in English. My degree was in English, and I decided that I want to learn in German. After I have learned the language up to B2, I decided to do another course, an Ausbildung in the German language. That way, I really get to integrate into the system. I really get to know more about the culture. Sit in the classroom with other German people. I was always the only Black person. Sit in the classroom with other German students. And then you see how the system works. You get to do internships in different areas. Interact with the people. Try to get yourself as Germanized as possible. And believe me, because I know how to speak English and I know how to speak German, I have never had a problem looking for an internship place, and I have never had a problem looking for a job since I moved to this country. I can look for a job and I bargain my salary. Why? Because my self-confidence is also high. And another thing is, when you don't know the language, you don't know how the people, you haven't integrated, and you don't know how the people function, your self-confidence is not that high. So even if you get a job, you don't even know that you can bargain your salary. Those are some of the things that you learn when you go to school or when you integrate. Just because it's written on the internet, this amount does not mean that's what you can go and you tell them, hey, you're giving this amount, but I have this extra to offer, and I have this extra to offer. And if they're willing, and you can also still say no if you don't want it. So that's the advantage. I always tell people, take your time. Yes, it requires a lot of determination, but at the end of the day, there is something to gain. That's when most people come here. I know of people that we came and they sent here in this country. They cannot make 5 complete sentences in the German language. And they are working today. They started working before me, but believe me, they are just scrambling. Why? You never had the time to learn the language. You wanted to hurry up to work. If you don't know the language and you don't have a degree or a certificate, what kind of job would you get? And the longer you wait, the more difficult it is. I always tell people, do it as early as possible, because most of us who come to a country like this to seek for asylum, we are not spring chickens. And when you decide to go work, 3 years, 4 years, you're getting older and older. And once you decide, at the point where you decide, oh, okay, let me go learn the German language, you're sitting in class with those people who just came. Or if you decide to go do an Ausbildung, I'm saying from my personal experience, when I was doing my Ausbildung, you sit in class. I was in my 30s. No, I started when I was already 30. So you calculate. In my 30s, you're sitting with 20-year-olds and you're sitting with 21-year-olds. It can be really challenging. Aside from the language, also the social aspect, the longer you wait. Whereas because it took me a long time to learn the language, yes. The longer you wait, the more difficult it becomes, not only for the brain, also for the social aspect. Like I said, sitting in class, just imagine a 30-year-old, 35-year-old sitting in class with a 20-year-old. What do you guys have in common? That is not your first certificate. That is not your first degree. But for them, that is their first degree. That is their first certificate. They are just coming out of high school. They're just coming out of college. And they are learning this for the first time. But for you probably worked in your country, had your degree a long time ago, worked in your country, came here, and you decided to do this to add up to what you have, or to do it because maybe your degree or your certificate is not accepted in the country. And some of these young people, they come in with their friends. So if they have a group work, for example, which they always have, they pick their friends before they'll pick you. You might think they're racist. They are not racist. They are not, but they just have more in common among themselves. And if you don't have that confidence to approach them and say, oh, can I join your group? You will think you'll be left alone. I know people who've backed out twice trying to do an Ausbildung. They've backed out twice. Why? Because they are much older than these young people who are just getting into this part of their life. They are 18, 19, 20, 21. The conversations they have in class is different. The things they are interested in is different. Before I came here, I was well-traveled. Okay, I was well-traveled. I had taught before, so I know how young people integrate. Besides, I learned the language quickly, so I was able to approach. And also, I'm a small human being, and I don't look that old. So even if I'm amongst them, you wouldn't think that I'm 10 years older than they are, or I'm 12 years older than they are. So that's what helped me. So if you come and you wait longer, it's going to be even more difficult. Once you come, if you're young, take that opportunity. Push. Forget that I want to work. If you get an Ausbildung, excuse me, you will get a better job. And also, if you decide to study, try to study in German. Why? Because you will learn the language. I know people who have studied here in Germany. They have PhD degrees, attained in German universities, but they do not have jobs. Why? Because those degrees were attained in English. But this is a German country. If you cannot speak the language, what do you want to do? I know of a friend You have to go back to your country. There is no job. Why? Because of the language. So if you have to learn, if you have to do an Ausbildung, job training, or you have to study, do it in the German language. That way you come out with a German certificate and you have the language skills to dive right into the labor market. Some people are lazy. It's like, I don't have time. I just want to find a job that does not require language. What job does not require language? Jobs that pay are jobs that requires, but if you're using just your hands, of course, you're going to be struggling. So that's what I did. I did my Ausbildung and I completed my Ausbildung. And now people ask me, when I finish, people, what are you doing? I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for my child to get to a certain stage. And I'll get right into the job. Now there's so many things I can do. I can work in a German sector. I can work in an English sector. That's the advantage I have. And the fact that I speak both languages, I have more to offer. I have more to offer than someone with whom I graduated with, but did not have, and she does not have the language skills that I have. And I also have my job experience. So I have my degree from home, which I can use to work with. And I have the one I attained here in Germany. That is how you package yourself when you come to this country. Many people complain. It's difficult. Oh, I have this from my home country, but I'm earning this. No, it doesn't work like that. I know people, I have friends who are pilots. I'm from Cameroon. I have friends who are pilots, friends who are engineers. Those engineers who build roads, I have friends who are engineers. Why? You learn the language. When you learn the language, you can integrate. And that way you can also fight whatever racism you think could be going on, because you know them, you know the people, you have your confidence, then you can brush that off. You can fire back at them and say, hey, don't say that to me, or don't do that. Right now, the way my skin is so thick, because my confidence is so high, there is nothing you can tell me. There is nothing you can say to me like, no, I've developed a thick skin only because my confidence, I can speak the language. I know how the people function. So that's what I would advise. If you come here, learn the language, get your certificate assessed. If it is not accepted, learn. Attain another one. But if you choose not to, you decide to go get a job where no language is required, it's up to you. It's up to you. But I can only advise, if you want to live a better life here in Germany, that's what you need to do. Forget it. Stop hurrying to help your people back home. The time will come when you will do that. Just take your time. Okay? Take your time. Learn the language. I have said this. I've said learn the language maybe like 50 times. It is a difficult language, but you can do it. If you learn the language, you learn an Ausbildung, integrate. Try to make friends with other people. I know I wanted to say try to make friends with Germans, but I don't know why my tongue tied, because it is difficult to make friends with the Germans. But well, my man is German, but I don't know. He's like the only German friend that I have, and his family is like the only. I have a couple of German friends. No, let me not exaggerate, but it is hard to maintain friendship with Germans. But what you can do is you can make friends with other nationalities who do not speak your language. That way, the common language you guys have is German. So you guys are forced to learn the language together. When I first came here, I did not have I don't have a lot of friends from my country that we speak my language all the time. Even at home, we speak German at home. I don't have a lot of friends that we speak that I speak English with. I do have Cameroonian friends, but most of my friends, when I first came here, I had a friend from Ethiopia. I had a friend from Venezuela. I had another one from Afghanistan. They do not know how to speak English. I do not know how to speak Spanish, and I do not know how to speak Arabic. So what did we speak? German. We were all fumbling. If you needed to see when we sat together having a conversation, everybody, I'm speaking in German, and I'm mixing it in English, and my friend is speaking in Spanish and mixing, and the other is speaking in Arabic. But most important thing is the common language we have was the German language. So that's another tip. If you think you cannot, because sometimes we surround ourselves only with our people. Even if you learn German, you go to the German course, you learn you go back home, you speak for the rest of the day, you're speaking your language. And then you learn mit Karte bitte. That's it. I've seen a lot of videos with people getting by with mit Karte, Entschuldigung. Ich fahre, blah, blah. You just learn a few words that could take you take you through life. But with those mit Karte and all of those short words, you cannot integrate into the society, and you cannot work in a job where requires you to communicate with the people. You need more than that. And believe me, if it's hard to make friends with the Germans, you can make friends with other foreigners. One thing you guys have in common is that you are all strangers here in this land, and that binds you. It was easy for me to make friends with people from Venezuela, with people from Afghanistan, than with the natives. But at the same time, we were all one but different. One in the fact that we're all strangers here, but we all spoke different languages. So we're forced to speak Germans anyway. We're forced, and all my friends, one is an accountant, I think one is a nurse, and I'm an educator. You can be something. You can be something. And I feel proud when you say, like, us foreigners, when we come here and we do something different than, I'm not trying to degrade any job, but than the stereotypical jobs that we do. It's also good. It's something I'm very proud of it. Especially my friend from Cameroon. I'm like, he's a Cameroonian, he's a pilot. Excuse me, he is a German pilot. He is a Cameroonian and he is an engineer. He builds the German roads. Do you know how amazing that sounds? We can do it. We can always do better. So, yes. I hope this video helps. If you have any question, do leave it down below or leave your comments below. Thank you very much. I will try to put out as often as possible. I hope this is a comeback for my channel. From time to time, I will be making short videos just talking about living in Germany as a foreigner from my perspective. I don't think there is anybody who can do it better than from the eye of a foreigner, from the eye of someone going through or living that life. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.